It is time to make the stain. It's been about 2 or 3 weeks with the husks and all the stuff just decomposing in there. So I'm gonna pour in there and boil it down in case it's not quite concentrated enough yet. So I'm gonna pour it from there to there, and I have no idea how it's gonna go. It went well until it didn't. I suspect I have some stuff in there, but it's too late now. I'm never gonna fish it out, it's too dark. So I made it to the kitchen without spilling anything, which is good, because if I spilled, I'd probably never be allowed to do this again. I have it on the lowest possible setting because I definitely overfilled it, and the worst thing that could happen right now is if it starts, you know, doing a roiling boil and splattering all over the place. That would not be good. So I gotta let it kind of just evaporate a little first. Also, some stuff that's a little walnut poking through there, so I definitely gotta fish some junk out that made its way in. So it's the next day because I didn't get anywhere close to boiling enough of this off in the few hours I gave myself yesterday. But look at how interesting it looks. Like tasty almost. It looks like a big pot of like a latte or some sort of, I don't know, some sort of like yummy dessert. Looks like the top is like sprinkled with cinnamon or something, but there's nothing on here other than what's in the walnut stain. Really nice though. It smells pretty good too. Interesting smell. I could see how some people might not like it, but I think it smells pretty good actually. Okay, so it's been boiling for several hours today, and as you can see, it's lost a lot of its volume. I would say probably 3/5 to 2/3 of its volume. It's definitely not as syrupy as it could be, but it is a lot thicker. You can't really tell visually, but when you stir it, there's a lot more resistance, so it's more viscous for sure. I could probably boil off more and let it get darker, but given that this is the first time I'm doing it, and if it's too dark, that's less useful than not dark enough, because you can always do multiple coats of stain, right? So I think I'm probably gonna call it and see what this does. Okay, so I think I boiled off enough, but I'm not sure. So the recipe I found online was to do half alcohol and half stain. So what I'm just gonna do is just put one of these in, and then the right amount of stain, and just save the rest, because I just don't know if I boiled off enough water. So I'm just gonna do it as reversibly as possible for now. that's as much as I'm supposed to do it for this formula. It's not to say it's the right formula, but that's what I'm going to try first. So I'll save the rest in the other one. So this is the homemade table I built. I built it out of an old bookcase that the previous owner left us that I had no interest in keeping. But I thought if I deconstructed it, it could make a good workbench. So that is what I made it out of, but then I felt like it could be a good homage to the house to stain it with a walnut stain made from the walnut trees in the yard. So that's why I've been trying to make a stain out of the walnuts I've been harvesting. Okay, so here's the two bottles. This is the one that's half alcohol and half stain. Looks pretty dark to me, but we'll see what it looks like on the wood. And then this is the remainder of the pure stain. Now, it seems like an efficient way to store it, but I think the alcohol acts like a preservative, so we really do have to kind of rearrange it and get some alcohol in all of it if it's good enough as is. But we'll see. So I tested the most inconspicuous corner, and it's definitely not that dark. I have to do several coats at least, but I think that could be better. I can more fine-tune the color I want, plus at the same time I just don't feel like going back to the previous stage of the project. You know, I'm impatient, I want to keep going, so I'm just gonna run with it and see what happens. Alright, here's after the first coat. Not sure you can tell the difference after one coat. It is darker. It's obviously not super dark. I'm not sure you can tell the difference on the camera, but it is darker. But I'm certainly going to do several more coats. But I do think it looks good. And in general, I'm mostly happy that my crappy sanding does not have a ton of swirl marks here. So in general, I'm happy with the way it's going. I'll take another video after several more coats. Okay, so I finished the table and it came out really good. The left side looks darker, but that's just a lighting issue. At first I was worried it wasn't going to look so great because every time I rubbed on the stain, it looked good for a little while and then it dried really dull and gray. But putting the poly on there kind of made it stay the way it looked while it was still wet. So all in all, it came out really good. I will say the last coat of stain I did was with the one that I did not dilute with the alcohol. The alcohol one, it was just taking forever, and I thought it might be quicker to move over to the undiluted one, and it was quicker. So I think that one might actually have been better than the one that I cut with the alcohol. Probably won't last, probably won't be able to keep it on the shelf, but I do think it worked better. I almost feel bad using it as a shop table now.